We'll
Thank
switch
you.
gears now this time and head on to our next story, and this time it's Iran. Now, the Reformist candidate Masoud Pezeshkian and the ultra-conservative Saeed Jalili participated in a televised debate ahead of Iran's presidency runoff after leading the polls to replace the late ultra-conservative president Ebrahim Raisi. Now, the first round of the election revealed shrinking support for both reformists and conservatives, even though some voters are pushing for change by backing the sole reformist candidate. Now, according to Analysts, Friday's vote, marked by a historical low turnout, clearly shows that both reformists and conservatives' bases have considerably shrunk. So joining us to discuss this is a global affairs analyst, Collins Nweke. Collins, thank you so much for joining me this morning. Let's get started, right? And let's start by hearing your view on how the first round of the presidential election in Iran has panned out.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for having me. The predictions that there's going to be a runoff, which is actually the second since the revolution of 1979, has come true. And I believe that we can ascribe that essentially to the selection process. Now, the selection process was tilted supposedly in favor of the ultra-conservatives who were dominant in the race. But like you mentioned, the sole reformist has actually taken the day. As a matter of fact, he won the most vote. Now, going further, I think the main issue of concern, of course, is the voter turnout. Sometime in 2001, I believe, America had an election in which, the voter turnout was about 35-39%. This Ayatollah Khomeini, the supreme leader, actually wrote America off then as a non-serious, democracy where its people are unwilling to actually participate in the democratic process. Well, here you have it. Iran is facing the same thing, and I hope that he will remember that what goes round turns around as well. So the race is on, and it remains to be seen, whose rhetorics the voters are going to buy into on Friday.
Now, a low voter turnout of 40%, worse than in 2021, which was 48%. What would you say is the reason for this that we're seeing, these figures?
Well, generally, it is voter apathy. That's number one. Number two, you will ask yourself, how did that voter apathy come about? I believe that largely it has to do with the fact that people are looking at the election as, same old story. Nothing is going to change. The president, as a matter of fact, has limited powers to make changes. So most of the powers are actually concentrated in the hands of the supreme leader. And as you have seen, it is the appointees of the supreme leader that actually select who gets to run. Can you imagine a situation where a former president who during his time was not charged with any crime or whatever was actually, delisted? So that is one. And then two, the repression has continued, so much that women are so much in a disadvantaged position, and increasingly in Iran. That is something that the populace are finding very, very difficult to swallow. And then, of course, the biting economy. The economy is in very, very bad shape, and so people are saying, what is the point? Because ultimately, nothing is going to change if the sanctions are still in place, and there appear not to be much going on in terms of real negotiation with the West to get the sanctions off and get the economy bounced back. So these are bits and pieces of issues that have made people feel that no, we need to hang up on this whole process of electioneering and just mind our business.
The Reformist candidate had the most votes, but not enough to be declared outright winner, right? So do you think that he has the advantage in the runoff, or there might be maybe a surprise in the offing?
The Reformist candidate Masoud has an uphill task ahead of him. He did, his showings in the first round was fantastic. He surprised many people. But then the field at the time was, littered with, the ultra-conservatives. So their votes were shared, even though, some, gave up the fight, towards the end. And I think it was thinned down to 3 or 4 of them. I believe 3. Now, what is happening is that those former contestants on the conservative side are throwing their support behind the the contestant of the Reformist candidate. So what that means is that their own bloc, their electoral bloc, is building up, and that is making it much more difficult for him. Now, if more people are going to turn up to vote, because as a matter of fact, it was actually 39.8% of voter turnout that they had. Now, if more people are going to turn out, then it is going to be in the advantage of the conservative, candidates. Otherwise, the reformists might just, make it.
All right. Well, Collins, many thanks. We appreciate you for doing this with us.